So now that we have our finger finished, we can go and create the rest of the fingers. So again, I'm going to do that by copying these fingers, the finger that I made, and tweak it around a little bit. And yeah, just kind of tweaking it. And we can see already the hand is kind of growing. Now, of course, as far as the thumb is concerned, if you look at your arm, you're going to see it's kind of facing a little bit different than the rest of the fingers. So we should definitely take that into consideration. So what we want to do is kind of play with the shape right now when the fingers are more or less straight. Because later on, when you tilt them, it becomes more difficult to stretch and make them thicker and thinner. And this is why I'm doing this thumb right now when it's kind of straight, still straight. The easiest way to stretch things is when they are vertical. Once they are at some angle, it becomes a lot bigger a hassle. So it's a good practice to kind of stretch those things while they are vertical before you tilt them. And these are a little bit squished right now, so we have to stretch them out so that they don't have that feeling like we took a long finger and just squished it. We want it to have a bit more of that natural feeling. And I'm just removing those details which we don't have present in the thumb, and kind of matching points a little bit to get the shape where we want it to lose that stretched feeling. And a tweak here, tweak there, and yeah, we're starting to get the thumb. That was a bit too much for the thumb, I thought. Kind of toning the whole thing down a little bit. Okay, yeah. So now that we have the thumb, I'm just gonna rotate it and put it there. Once we're happy with the overall shape. And again, it's important to get the shape right before you go like this, as if you want to stretch it, it's going to become a bit more difficult. And I'll just kind of resizing those fingers according to their position. And also our hand is, generally not completely flat. You want to have that round, a little bit of a roundish feeling. And with the thumb being all the way down Of course, knowing too much. And yeah, Jack's fingers a little bit specific. Usually you have a 5-finger situation. Here it's only 4. So the placement is a little bit different. Just a little bit. And now we just kind of wanted to put it where it should be. And we see, the fingers are approximately the right length. And one thing I did forget to make before I clone this is the black kind of a joint that the Jack has between these fingers. So that is a bit of a drag to make now. I mean, I have to now make it for all the fingers, unless I want to do this work again with the copying of fingers. But I figure this is going to be a lot quicker and really not such a big hassle to just add this. It's just one simple tube. I mean, just place and copy paste around pretty quickly. It would have been a bit faster. How I thought of that before, but it is how it is. You kind of work, and sometimes other things like this creep in. Nothing major. I mean, just kind of copy it and adjust it around, and very quickly we'll have it on all the fingers. But if you do get a chance, if you're making this a little bit later on for yourself, good point is to make these before you copy paste the fingers. That's gonna save you a little bit of work. Yeah, just the thumb left now. And with a little stretch here and stretch there, these are going to fit nicely. And now we have just this one, and that will be that. And here we have it. The fingers are there. Now we just have to create this area here. We can see that Jack also has it. It's this palm, a little bit of a palm area there that connects to the wrist. So I'm just kind of searching to see for some reference image. But at the end, we just use this and kind of tighten the fingers a little bit closer. and use our trusty pen tool to create the shape. And again, I'm adding these points, being mindful of the placement of the fingers. For the form. And you should also, while you're creating this, kind of have in your head the cage that you want to create, at least approximately. So I know I want to have those points to kind of have it connect better with the fingers. And still kind of looking at the reference image there, just to see if there's something specific about it, about this area. I'm just going to go into another layer, so I have it just there, and I can just work on it a bit easier. And now we're adding some thickness to it. And now it's a bit flat, and we want it to be round to conform better with the fingers. And it's just creating that basic shape, and then kind of getting from that to the final model. And I'm definitely going to need a bit more subdivisions here, so I'm just kind of adding those there, and adjusting these edges in different views. I also wanted to have that little bit of an arc in the bottom part of the palm. And yeah, that's the shape that we want. And now we just have to close up these upper and bottom parts, and that'll be that. Of course, that's not that trivial, but still. I'm just thinking about polygon count here. We don't want it to have too many polygons. To again keep it more simpler to edit, and to make it easier to get a nicer organic shapes without any spikes or things like that. So just kind of naturally extending this towards these points that I have here. And as we build this, again, just like with any other part that we created throughout this tutorial, we're kind of building out, and as we make more and more of it, some edge loop solutions are going to present themselves, as clear answers. So even if you see that some polygons are not connecting to other polygons, like I left that one polygon over there, now you just leave it there, and as you go along, things are going to become clearer. And so I quickly just clean that up using this simple trick here. It's still a 4-point polygon, so it's not going to pinch that much. And adding few more subdivisions by using the knife tool. We quickly close that up. Just to get rid of those 2-point polygons, and we can go on nicely. Now we just have this hole here. That is going to be a little bit of a challenge to close up. Now these edges, we usually want them to have a continuous row of polygons. Otherwise you are going to get, pinchings and stuff like that. So that's why I just extended that edge all the way. Because I'm, quite sure I want that to be there. And kind of creating a bit more even the nicely spaced geometry there. Now we have this situation here. I'm just going to see how that feels, how that looks, if this is going to cause us any problems. And this is what we have so far. We still have that hole. I'm just going to look how this is going to feel, whether that is going to be too much of a problem or not. And it's just, kind of seeing what works. And in some situations you are going to be able to get away with some things. In others, not. It just depends on the surrounding geometry. Is it a flat area or a round, particularly round area or something like this? So usually when you have like these creative solutions, you want to have them in areas which are preferably as flat as possible. And then, as you can see here, you really don't see any pinching and stuff like that. If the area is a bit rounder and you have like this unusual edge flows, in most of the cases they are going to give you a little bit of a problem. So if you do want to cut corners to kind of keep your poly count a little bit lower, you should always try to do that either in areas which are not visible or which are, preferably flat and surrounded by nicer edge loops. And now it's just a matter of copy pasting this on the bottom part. And in order to do this, I flattened everything, to just make it a lot easier for me to weld points up. And it's really a quick work to bend it up again. And at the end, this thumb extension, did work. So I just left it like that. Not much pinching there, and happy how that felt. And now it's just kind of conforming this a little bit better to the fingers themselves. They feel a little bit too thick. I'm just kind of raising this up a little bit more to fit better with this finger. And of course, we can also lower the finger down a little bit. They feel a little bit too much, of an arc there with the fingers. And since Jack is a skeleton, we don't have to worry too much about, those fleshy parts of the arms. We do want that bones feeling to it, which are a bit, flatter and sharper. But still, I do want to have a little bit of that, familiar palm feature there that we have, that little bit of thickening at the thumb, and a little bit of arc inside at the middle of the palm, just to give a, like a reminder that this is a hand. And to see sharpening it out a little bit. And yeah, that looks pretty good. It's just a little bit tweak here and a bit of a tweak there. Now, of course, we should not forget that this has to connect to our wrist area. So right now it was just too thin. So that did require that I kind of change the shape a little bit from what we had. Just to add a bit more thickness. But of course I don't want to add too much thickness to the whole arm. Sorry about that. Well, a little bit of thickness is not going to hurt us. In fact, it's going to come pretty handy. So just kind of seeing if this will, if this needs a bit more adjustment to fit to the wrist area, and making those adjustments. Now we kind of see what's happening there. To see how it fits. Just kind of going into sub patch mode and seeing what's happening there. And yeah, we see that it can be a little bit more roundish, to kind of fit better to the wrist area. Right now it was sticking too much on the outsides. And we can kind of stretch this a little bit like that and adjust it accordingly. Now, as we can see, again, time and time, it's proven, you see how it's better to have a little bit less of a poly count. You can edit things a lot more easier than when you have, crowded polygons, and becomes really a pain in the really becomes a pain to edit. Well, like this, making these adjustments is really a quick thing, and one doesn't back away from them because they're complicated or whatever, which is very important. So the hand is really coming along now. It's just a matter of a few more tweaks before we have the hand finished. So it's just a nudge here and a nudge there. Now this finger is a bit too high. It's just lowering down a little bit. And now again, we have to do a quick copy paste of this black joint that connects the fingers. and kind of going inside to see how it's going to make it fit the best. And yeah, that's it. Just one more for the thumb. A bit of a resize there, and here we are. Let's kind of add a subdivision here, and you just need to close up in this area here, which is quick work with select loop and bevel. Now just unify those polygons, and that is it. And yeah, it's looking pretty sweet. We like how that turned out. And don't forget to save your work. It's you know, always good to have a few iterations of your work. And now it's just a matter of a quick mirror to mirror the hands. And this is what we have. One thing I want to do just for the visual sake is assign the black surface to this, just so we have a better, you know, view of what's happening there. And going to symmetry mode and select the eye, and put this the default surface. So it's nothing about, you know, too much surfacing. It's just to kind of get the idea of what we have so far, you know, to get that contrast of black and white. And yeah, this is our jack so far, and it's looking pretty good. A perfect spot, of course, to save our work. And nice place to end the session as well. We're really coming along here. Just a few more things to model, and Jack will be finished.